How do you think, and what needs to be done that the political parties actually communicate their stance on these critical issues to their voters?
There must be some realization somewhere in the political parties about the
but
climate
the time
change.
frame and time window is very short.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. There must be realization. We cannot say that there's altogether no realization in the political parties or their leaderships in terms of understanding the climate change and its worst impacts on Pakistan particularly, because it's an agriculture economy. An agriculture economy means directly impacted economy by the climate change. True. Because that is. But when we say how to bring about this debate in the limelight, or say how to make them go on to and discuss, is by only by advocacy, is by only making them realize that if they have to bring in an agenda of the social reforms or political reforms or economic reforms, none of these reforms will be workable unless they do something about the climate change, unless they make their development, their next future economic plans, industrialization plans, export orientation plans, energy and economy plans, they all ought to be climate resilient. They all ought to be in handshake with the climate policies. And it's zero, coming on to very specific, just an example, yes. For a better understanding of the people who, zero carbon emission is one of the major factors that Pakistani government and the Pakistani political parties and the Pakistani youth and the people ought to understand and demand. It's a two-way action. The political parties understanding and bringing these issues in their agendas, in their manifestos, and it's a vice versa also. The public demanding this to be there in the manifesto of the political parties and action by the political parties before they getting elected to the offices. For the both ways to work, advocacy comes the first and the foremost. We have to make the people realize that the climate change is a major factor. Right. Determining.
Ayub Shah Sahab, considering the global shift towards zero emissions, like you rightly mentioned, and of course towards cleaner energy resources, what do you think needs to be done by the political parties to align their manifestos in accordance with the outcomes of COP28?
Yes, number one, they have to understand what the COP28 majorly means.
And what were the outcomes?
Yes, we have to control the global temperature, and for controlling the global temperature, the major contributor, that is carbon dioxide, ought to be controlled, which means we have to reduce the carbon emissions both in-house and work internationally also. This is the climate change is an international phenomena. Pakistan may not be one of the major carbon emitting countries because we are not that industrialized, but at the same time we do contribute to the local environment. We talked about Lahore also and Karachi also, the environment getting polluted only because of the cars emitting carbon dioxide uncontrollably. So the political parties ought to include in the agenda the actions they think are the foremost, the actions they think can be effective towards zero carbon emission.
Can you tell us some specific actions that needs to be included in the manifestos to align them in accordance with the outcomes of COP28?
The major can be carbon pricing. Yes. They ought to promise the people that they, after they come into the offices, will introduce a carbon pricing policy. They will effectively implement the carbon pricing policy. And second is a shift from the greenhouse gases emission systems to the other sustainable non-greenhouse gases emission systems. Meaning thereby they have to promote the policies, support the actions by the people at large in terms of shifting onto a renewable energy resource. So electric vehicles are one of the major policy, I must say one of the major policy initiatives that the new government can take, the parties consider introducing, that how they can bring about a major change in the car manufacturing in Pakistan from fossil fuel based cars, that is auto engine, onto a non-fossil fuel based cars that are electric vehicles. Similarly, in the major infrastructure side, on the infrastructure side, they have to introduce the policies by not bringing up infrastructure that is not climate resilient or that is not bringing in resilience inside the Pakistan, as well as contributing globally. And thirdly, they have to understand and shake hand with the kind of the kind of major carbon emitters to divert their carbon credits to Pakistan. This is a major action that is needed, which will both stabilize our economy and which will also promote non-carbon emitting industry introduction into the Pakistan.
Right.